YouTube, what's going on? Hey, so I am late, and I do not mean in the biblical sense. No, I'm late on this video. So I said I was going to record yesterday before the evening games kicked off for the beginning of week 3, and I totally meant to do that. I swear. And then I just started hanging out with my wife, and we were just chatting it up, having a grand old time. And you know what? As much as I love you guys, it was, more enjoyable than recording a video. Anywho, I have committed to you and you alone this evening for now. And I'm going to make my preview video for week 3. Obviously, I missed the Thursday night games. I am deeply saddened by this, as I'm sure all of you are as well. But that said, I am going to talk about the games from last night. I will give some basically predictions that I did have for one of the games. And then we're going to literally roll right into tonight's games and through the rest of the week super quick. And I hope you guys enjoy my opinions on the matter. But so let's start with what happened last night, right? So we look at Arizona State going to Texas State and winning 31-28. Jordan McLeod throws for 268 yards. Texas State led in rushing yards as well. And Arizona State kind of just I guess escapes with the win, if you want to call it that. I'm going to be perfectly honest. If I had recorded this live last night before the game kicked off, I probably would have sounded like a genius about halfway through the game. I also understand that if I had started recording last night while the game was going on, I would probably just have cap thrown at me nonstop, saying that I didn't actually predict this outcome. But I legitimately thought Texas State was going to win this game going into the week. I somewhat devalued Arizona State, despite the fact that I think Sam Leavitt is a pretty talented young prospect at quarterback, and then obviously Cam Scatabo, which, by the way, still one of the best names in college football. I knew he was going to be a legitimate run threat. It was just the rest of their team that either A, I was largely ignorant on, or B, I just didn't really like the names that I could recall in terms of talent from last year that they had. They're either playing at other places right now. They lost 2 receivers to the portal, Elijah Badger and Jeremiah Hunter, who's up at Washington right now. Elijah Badger, I cannot remember where he went. I'd have to look that one up. But either way, Texas State was essentially like the darling of the group of 5. A lot of people had them as their long shot projection to be the 5th conference championship seed in the playoff. Yeah, super disappointing for Texas State. I mean, that could essentially be the thing that spells doom on their playoff hopes. I understand that it's the top 5 ranked conference champions, that get the auto bids, but you have to be a nigh on perfect prospect in the group of 5. Like, you can't have mistakes or blemishes like this on your resume, unfortunately, because Arizona State's probably going to go on to have a meh season, and when that's the team that beat you from the Power 4 pool of teams, they're like, okay, so why should you be represented to go play literally the best of the best from those leagues when you couldn't even beat one of their worst teams in the regular season, right? So again, super bummer L to take for Texas State. I'm not even going to really talk about the South Alabama game. It was a public execution. The final score was 87-10. I just didn't really have a beat on it. I don't really know much about South Alabama, and I damn sure don't know anything about Northwestern State other than right now I can tell you pretty confidently they got demolished last night. Has anybody checked on these poor boys, by the way? Are they still alive? Are they still with us? Yikes. Anyway, tonight, Got a little bit of a ESPN Fox doubleheader going on right now. Kickoff for the ESPN game is 6 p.m. and the Fox game is 7 p.m. So I believe that would be 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. on the East Coast. Check me on that. So game one being between UNLV going on the road to play Kansas. This is the one that's being played at the soccer field. This is not being played at Arrowhead. So the capacity is much smaller, and if UNLV travels well, it could still be a packed stadium necessarily. But it is also, I think, it only seats like 20,000, so like way less than who would normally be attending this game. I like UNLV's chances here. I'm not going to lie. Kansas currently favored by 9, with the over-under point total being at 57.5. Kansas lost to Illinois last week. Now, here's the thing. Illinois could very well just be better as a program than anybody gave them credit for going into this season. That can be true, okay? But Kansas can also have some problems. All right. The reason I say this is because last year they have Andy Kotelnicki as offensive coordinator, who is scheming dudes wide the fuck open for quarterback Jalen Daniels, not Jaden, Jalen Daniels, to hit just like wide open, prospects. Andy Kotelnicki is gone. He is at Penn State now, and I am starting to develop some serious questions as to whether or not Jalen Daniels can actually read a defense. I wonder if maybe he's getting the play calls based off of the people on the sideline or in the booth, recognizing defensive posturing and sets and packages, and then they are literally throwing a tailor-made package into Jalen Daniels' arms to scheme open receivers that he just needs to know timing at that point. He needs to know his progressions. So, okay, who am I throwing to first, second, third, fourth, right? And at what times are they set to be open? That takes all the guesswork out of it, because he went up against an Illinois defense that was very mobile and giving some very interesting looks. And it became pretty clear that Jalen Daniels wasn't seeing the field. Like, it was, I don't want to say terrible. It just was very clearly a problem. That when it came time for him to actually process when first reads weren't open, like wide the fuck open, he got a little wide in the eyes, and you could see him wanting to break the pocket, scramble, this, that, and the other. Even though the offense is largely trying to turn him into a pocket passer. So I have some concerns. I like UNLV's chances to cover in this. I don't know if I would pick them to win outright. I'm leaning that way just because from what I saw from Kansas last week, if Illinois is a better team than we anticipate, Kansas can still be a pretty good football team, but UNLV is not half bad either. So I lean UNLV to cover there. The next game, speaking of offenses trying to turn players into pocket passers and not utilize their legs, Kansas State is hosting Arizona tonight as well, 7 p.m. kickoff time for me. And Kansas State, similar issue. Offensive coordinator moves on to a better opportunity. And here you have this dual threat quarterback that, fucking Emory Johnson might be the fastest player on Kansas State's roster, and they haven't really been scheming up anything for his legs. Not nearly to the degree that I would have anticipated coming into the season. I think a lot of people were hoping for and somewhat betting on him taking a step forward as a passer. But when your offensive scheme completely alters to the point now where it looks like you legitimately just want him to be a passer and nothing else, you barely escaped Tulane. And here's the thing, Tulane, their biggest success on the field had nothing to do with your offense if you're Kansas State. The problem is that Kansas State secondary had receivers running 3 at the second level. And if you think that Tulane has a better receiving core than Arizona, I have terrible news for you. Tetaroa McMillan almost put up 400 yards in the first game of the season receiving. Yeah. So, yes, it's one guy, but like that one guy is better than all the receivers on Tulane's roster put together. I am the messenger, okay? It's not just my opinion. I guarantee you there's some people out there of relative importance in the college football sphere would agree with that statement. Maybe. I like Arizona. I was not impressed with what I saw from K-State's defense. I think that DJ Giddens is a great playmaker for them in the backfield with Emory Johnson, but he also just needs to start being let loose. Like if they were just like kind of keeping the playbook closed for him, and this is going to be the game where they start to be, multiple in the run game while incorporating him, then this could be a really interesting shootout, in my personal opinion. But from what I've seen so far, it's the only thing I have to go off of. And if that's what your offense is going to do, I'm telling you right now, Arizona's going to score. Like, your defense isn't going to be able to stop them all night. So how are you going to answer against a team that is arguably more talented than Tulane in most facets, if not all, and has a way, 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 way better strength in their passing game than the team that beat you or almost beat you with their own passing game last week? Yeah, I'm taking Arizona here. The line is currently K-State by a touchdown. Granted, that's home field advantage baked in. So they have a less than a touchdown lead in terms of betting odds. I mean, this is essentially a pick'em game, right? Like, that should be juiced in a way, that you probably have a good bet on both teams, but I'm taking Arizona. I can't do it. Alabama, Wisconsin. I just don't think Wisconsin's offense is good. Granted, Alabama's secondary has had receivers just running wide open. I feel like that seems to be a common, occurrence this season. Alabama's had receivers running wide open in their backfield, or their second level rather, and I have seen, it's not just, lore or fantasy, but I have seen Tyler Van Dyke throw to receivers wide the fuck open before, and it went pretty well for him. Last year, Miami versus Texas A&M, week 1, Miami splatters Texas A&M with their passing game, and Tyler Van Dyke was the quarterback. So if receivers are open, like open, maybe we got ourselves a game. I just don't know if I trust Wisconsin to be that team, to scheme that way. I get it's Luke Fickell and his offensive mindset, but I'm not sold. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being an asshole. I don't know. But I'm taking Bama in this one. Line is minus 16.5. I think Bama covers. Yeah. I think Bama covers. Oklahoma State is going to take out Tulsa. I got LSU over South Carolina. I want to talk about this one more, but really what it boils down to for me is that South Carolina's best win right now is over the worst offense in the FBS in Kentucky. So rather than be presumptuous and assume that, like, okay, I give Columbia and Williams-Brice Stadium the benefit of the doubt that it's going to be a real, just fun tailgating experience and game day environment. But this game's going to be close. I don't. Everybody loves South Carolina's D-line. Tell me the good O-line they've faced so far. I'll wait. LSU doesn't have a run game. Okay. They have Garrett Nussmeier. He's pretty good. He can throw the ball. And they also have some pretty good receivers, too. What does South Carolina have on offense? Not much. LSU. Michigan's going to get right against, I mean, I say right, but like they're going to splatter Arkansas State. The Florida State Memphis game right now, FSU only a 6.5 point favorite at home. So same kind of thought process as the Kansas State Arizona game, right? Only being -7. So a little bit more juice Kansas State's way, but Florida State's just going to have to prove it. Like, they have looked so incredibly fraudulent over the span of 2 games that Memphis being another one of the group of 5 favorites to make the playoff, that's not a team that you can take the week off, essentially, and have a get-right week in terms of maybe experimenting with some things here and there. That team can beat you if you're not on. Like, that team can and will beat you. Seth Hennigan is a great quarterback. I'm sure a lot of people came after him in the portal this offseason. Memphis was able to hang on to him. He's got an experienced receiving core. All right. Like, if I'm a Florida State fan and I'm a little too cocky going into this game, even if you do get the win, I'm here to tell you right now, Memphis is going to play you a lot closer than you probably think they are. So, any FSU fans out there listening, please, 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 just admit you heard it here first. All right. Cincinnati, Miami, Ohio game should be fun. That is a rivalry game. Since he's favored -3 right now, point totals on the low side, 46.5. Yeah, I buy that. Boston College, Missouri. These are 2 teams that we don't really know much about. Okay, Boston College beats Florida State. Okay, fine, but Florida State's also, again, like I said, looked fraudulent. So unless Florida State somehow magically gets right and starts playing up to their potential, I'm just gonna have to assume they're bad until they prove otherwise. And if that's the case, then who has Boston College played for us to feel even remotely comfortable with them going against a team like Missouri? But oh wait, Missouri is just equally guilty of the same thing. Now, granted, they shut out both of their opponents. The defense is playing nasty, but their opponents also terrible in quality, right? So there's a team that is currently ranked 6th in the country that has yet to really do anything 6th in the country worthy. They have an opportunity to this weekend. 11:45 a.m. kickoff. Oh, it's on the SEC network. That's why. Man, if I have to give a lean on this one, I might sound crazy, but Missouri lost their defensive coordinator to LSU. Their defense has been playing very well, but against what offense? Thomas Castellanos with Bill O'Brien calling the plays has shown a ton of promise and a ton of improvement from last year. That offense is serious. The line on this is Missouri -14.5. I tell you what, I'm taking Boston College to cover but lose a close game. I think Missouri fans are going to show up. Sorry. I think Missouri has the better wide receivers. I think Thomas Castellanos is going to make some wow plays that are going to quiet the stadium, albeit briefly. But I think Missouri wins in a bit of a shootout. We'll call it that. Yeah. Yeah. Oregon State. how should I put this? It's fuck the Ducks till the day I die, dude. Give me the Beavs, all right? Kind of like Florida State. The only difference is they've managed to squeak out a 2-0 record. But y'all have looked terrible compared to what y'all were supposed to be coming out of the offseason. All right. Go on Twitter and see how many Oregon fans are trying to justify a poor performance against an FCS program. But God forbid you're a rival of Oregon's or just any team on their schedule for that matter, and you play a close game against an FCS program, and they will keep receipts for only about 20 years because that's the time frame that matters most to Duck fans. Anything previous to the last 20 years basically never happened. The mainstream media made it up. But no, in all seriousness, here's the thing. Run defense, I think a lot of people are looking at last week and being like, yeah, but no, how many teams are they going to play with an Ashton Janty on it? Okay, fair. Hankerson and frickin' Miller. It is Miller, right? I don't want to fuck this up. Jam Griffin, sorry. Yeah, Austin Hankerson and Jam Griffin, running backs for Oregon State, they don't suck. You can say their opponents have sucked, but the numbers that they have put up, opponent-adjusted expectations that I would still say they're pretty damn good. So they have a good tandem in the backfield. Like, so good that, like, I wanted to bet them in my daily fantasy last week playing against San Diego State, and I just didn't know which one to choose because I didn't really have a lot of knowledge about them prior to this season. But I'm looking at their numbers and I'm like, they're virtually identical. Like, they legitimately have a 1-2 punch at running back. So Oregon's defense is going to have to do one of two things. They're either going to have to load the box and commit to the run, or just try to stay multiple on defense and trust that their athletes are going to out-athlete Oregon State. I think on offense, I think the expectations for Oregon State might be a bit inflated. Like, they're going to stop Oregon. I have faith in Will Stein's ability to generate a scheme that Dylan Gabriel could enact with efficiency. It caused me physical pain, I guess, to get that out. I noticed I kind of hesitated a few times, but it's true, okay? A lot of people gave Bo Nix hell for being, quote, check down king last year, but Bo Nix also showed on quite a few occasions that he had deep ball abilities. He just didn't use them very often. And, like, if you don't have to use them very often and being efficient, like, how many NFL arms might be capable of throwing the deep ball? But a lot of the NFL, just because of the pace, it's a lot of short to intermediate passing game. So if you're really good at the short to intermediate passing game, aka the check down king, isn't the NFL kind of like exactly where you want to be? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. No, man, I like Oregon State to cover this line. I just don't know if I want to take them to get the win. Minus 16. I don't think Oregon wins by 16. I don't. I know they're capable of it, according to them and according to recruiting agencies, and not how much talent they have on their team. But I think that while they're going to stay undefeated, they're other people's definition of what a get right game will look like for Oregon might be incorrect. Like, I think they're going to win. I think that it could conceivably be in a way where Oregon State does generate some momentum, but Oregon just, like, answers, right? And they just kind of keep Oregon State out of range of a victory, or keep them at bay efficiently enough for people to be like, okay, this is a team that does have a go button, but maybe they're not going to be smoking people by 3+ possessions like they were last year. If you're an Oregon fan, it's not terrible. Just means that your blood pressure is going to be in a constant state of flux this season, unfortunately. But as long as you keep getting the wins, at the end of the year, it'll be fine. So, yeah, give me Oregon State to cover. I'm taking Oregon to win outright. Tulane, Oklahoma. Look, Oklahoma looked like ass last week, and Tulane probably should have beaten Kansas State. Oklahoma can't fuck around on this. All right, need Deion Burks and Jackson Arnold to be on their A game. All right, I need that Danny Stutzman led defense to turn on another gear that maybe Kansas State didn't have, and contain this Tulane passing attack that we saw last weekend. It's just, I'm not betting against Oklahoma. I'm not. Like, I know they have the offensive line issues, but there's just too much other talent on this team for them to play like that every weekend. Like, eventually they're going to have to figure out the offensive line situation, and I'm just not betting against Oklahoma. Can't do it. Can't do it. Notre Dame. You're losing to Purdue. I got into an argument with another YouTuber, I guess we'll call them, that was essentially claiming that a lot of the media's questions about Notre Dame going into the season weren't questions. And basically everything that was listed as a question, well, we pretty well established last week that it's a fucking problem. And the jury is still out on this team, although the verdict might have been accidentally leaked last week in that this team isn't that good. The only reason they're ranked 18th is because the team that's actually right below them in the schedule, Texas A&M, belongs in a wee little conference called the SEC. And anytime you beat an SEC team at home, I hear Dale Earnhardt shotguns another beer in heaven, but an angel also gets its wings. Or should I say a fraudulent team gets an unnecessary ranking in week 3 that it doesn't deserve. Speaking of the fraudulent Texas A&M Aggies, Florida's winning this game. I think that right now, Mike Elko, he's in his first season. He can afford a rough start. The person that can't, all right, whose job is literally on the fucking line here, is Florida head coach. Why am I blanking on this? He's head coach at Louisiana before this. Huh. This is really bothering me. Not Hugh Freeze. He's at Ole Miss. Not Willie Fritz. He's at Houston. I am significantly poopy brain right now. Stand by. Hey, my son got a point in school. Billy Napier. Jesus Christ. I didn't even have to finish Googling it. Okay. Billy Napier's on the hot seat, okay? And he needs to win this game. Because if Texas A&M goes into the swamp and bloodies the walls with you, this might be your last game. You said in the press conference, Billy, that you were going to start both quarterbacks. Why? What has Graham Mertz done to tell you that this is the guy that's going to save your job? When DJ Lagway put up 100 points on fucking Furman. Granted, it's Furman, but it was a hell of a lot better performance than what we saw in week 1. So, what gives? That said, Texas A&M's offense is way worse than yours. Their defense is really good, but it is going to get tired the same way that it did against Notre Dame. You need to put somebody behind center that has the big playability to take the top off of a defense. Also, you need to do anything that you can to confuse their defense. And a really good way to do that is to have a quarterback who is a legitimate dual threat. And DJ Lagway can run. Graham Mertz cannot. Not the way you need him to. Not the way that you would need in order to get a linebacker to basically spy him the whole game, taking another person out of coverage that you can literally scheme out of their own game plan. So I think he's honest. I think Billy Napier's honest when he says that both are going to play. I'm just saying that, like, at some point in the game, it's going to have to become apparent that DJ Lagway is the better option. And also, too, like, kind of, we had this conversation about Michigan last weekend. Like, this 2-quarterback experiment is unfair to the rest of your team. It's unfair to the offensive coordinator that has to reach into a different playbook, essentially, between the two, because they are different skill sets, right? And it's also unfair to, like, the offensive line, the rest of the team, okay? Having to, like, the receivers, like, okay, they have to memorize timing for 2 guys. The offensive line has to memorize call-outs and cues and stuff like that from 2 separate guys. And then also, too, just like the play calling in general and how that's going to affect. Like, if you're going in a shift in play calling or going to a shift in play calling from one to the other, that's another thing that just, like, makes the offensive line's job that much harder, because you're gonna have to constantly be changing blocking schemes, and that's fucked, man. It's so fucked. Pick one and stick to it. If you know DJ's the guy moving forward, and you do have to sell the future to keep your job, well, then fucking start selling the future. Stop staying loyal to this thing that was once reliable, but now it's broken. Come on, Billy. I don't want to see you get fired. All right? Mainly because a lot of people think you're going to come steal, or Florida's going to come steal our coach. That happens. So just know I always have, everyone's best interest at heart, not just Husky fans. Speaking of which, Cougs don't know it's coming. Mainstream media doesn't know it's coming. Washington State gave up 30 points to Portland State. Washington's defense has not surrendered a single touchdown all season. One of these things is not like the other. Washington is the better offense. Washington State has been making people salivate over impressive wins over nobody. Washington's not putting up the bigger numbers right now, but you're not putting up bigger numbers against their defense. And the offense is going to score on yours. So, yeah. Fuck the Cougs. Is what it is. I don't know why I got super serious there. Utah over Utah State. I mean, Utah's going to win, but the big news around this game is that Cam Rising is not playing because of a hand contusion laceration, maybe, that he suffered last week. Something of that nature. I don't really remember. Their offense really didn't score any. Actually, I'm pretty sure they didn't score a single point after he came out of the game, but they were already up by so much that they just had to hang on, essentially. Could be interesting. Let's see. Next game that I have interest in. Wake Forest offense was kind of going toe-to-toe with Virginia last week. I don't know if Ole Miss is the team that's going to be as holy, I guess, on defense to create those openings or those opportunities. Man, I already regret that choice of word. But yeah, that could be interesting. Very, very possible Wake Forest might be able to do something silly and upset a top 5 ranked team. Maybe 5 becomes the cursed number this season. Yeah, if you're ranked 5th, you lose the week after you get the rank. Predicting it right now. This is a repeat of 2007, where it was the number 2 ranked team in the country suffered that fate most weeks out of the season. I think Georgia's going to absolutely send Kentucky to the Shadow Realm. That's the worst offense statistically in FBS right now, and I don't think if their defense gave up 31 to South Carolina, just imagine what Georgia's going to do. I mean, we joked that against Tennessee Tech, it was essentially going to be a glorified scrimmage, and I don't know that this is going to be much better. Hey, again, kind of like with the Wake Forest thing, while I think Wake Forest has a better shot than Kentucky does, crazier things have happened, and naturally I'm rooting for chaos every step of the way. This Indiana UCLA game can be interesting. Indiana's offense has looked like way better against shit competition, mind you. And UCLA played a close game against Hawaii. Granted, it was at Hawaii, and the travel complications with that can be, a bit spooky, I guess. Just ask Florida State going to Ireland, right? Indiana could be better, kind of like Illinois, better than people thought they would be. And UCLA could be what people expected, because a lot of people expected them to be terrible. Bottom of the big, right? But we have no idea yet, because neither team has really played anybody. So we'll see. Colorado State. Everybody's going Colorado State on this, including me. All right. I'm locking this up right now, because if I'm Colorado's offensive line, I'm now letting Shedeur Sanders get mauled all night. You throw me and my teammates, my position room, under the bus at a public fucking press conference when you were far from infallible in that game, pressure notwithstanding, but when it was a team loss, a team failure, and the first place you point when somebody brings up criticisms of the offense is to me, and it's my job to protect you, guess who just got suspiciously less efficient at protecting your ass? It's shocking. Like my overall went down 10 points overnight. It's crazy. My CFB 25 wear and tear is just out of control. I'm taking Colorado State. They almost beat them last year. And Colorado has demons that need to be exercised. I just don't necessarily know if they're being exercised on their opponent or their teammates. We'll see. UCF TCU. This could be another fun game. Really like UCF's running game. TCU, maybe a skosh better than people might think, especially given the disappointing year they had last year. I think RJ Harvey has a big game for UCF at running back. I think just Josh Hoover, I believe is his first name, but Hoover, TCU's quarterback, could, maybe extend the field a little bit. We'll see. Maryland, Virginia, I think this is going to be another just shootout game for Virginia 2 weeks in a row. Last week taking on Wake Forest. I like Calandria at quarterback. He's just kind of fucking little honey badger, just throwing the ball everywhere. Maryland, all right, they had a similar game last week, a disappointing loss to Michigan State, but put up good numbers on offense. This could be a fun game. If if I had to go off of vibes alone right now, I'm going with Virginia. Um, just a hunch. I just think Calandria and the Virginia receiving core is going to be a little bit better than Maryland's, than their counterparts on Maryland squad. Let's see. Don't really have a lot of opinions about the remaining 4 games. I think BYU beats Wyoming. I think Cal beats San Diego State. And I think Fresno State wins, but I think New Mexico State gives them a fight. So I'll wrap up with that. You know what? Before I leave, I'm going to lock up 2 other games. I'll have 3 guaranteed locks for the weekend. Maybe I'll make this like a recurring thing that I do. Well, let's say I've already got 1 on the board, so I need 2 more. So my first lock, Colorado State, currently a 7.5 point underdog to Colorado. I'm taking Colorado State to win outright. First lock. Now I got to go find a second one. Let's see. I mean, obviously I have to do this, right? Washington over Washington State. All right. And they cover. I mean, we're only 5.5 point favorites right now, but yeah. Yeah, I'm taking that all day. And then that'd be a low hanging fruit, honestly. Here we go. Lock number 3. So we've already got Washington over Washington State. And we've got Colorado State over Colorado. Give me the Boilermakers of Purdue over the 18th ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame currently favored by -8. Prove it. That line was at 10 2 days ago. Money's going Purdue's way. I don't think it's going to be enough to bet this down to a pick me at half or at kickoff, but I'm laying the points. Notre Dame has no offense as far as I'm concerned, unless their backup plays, who's apparently a little bit more of a pocket passer. But if you like them that much, why'd you bring in Riley Leonard? Why is Riley Leonard starting? All of the above. If one of them makes you or puts you in a better position to win, but you're sticking, or sorry, theoretically puts you in a better position to win, but you're sticking with the other guy, I wonder if fan theories are accurate on this one. We'll see. So yeah, give me Purdue, give me Washington, of course, and give me Colorado State. Sick. Hey, I think this has this is another week that has the potential to kind of have not much that jumps off the page to you, but you're going to come out the end of the weekend and you'll be like, wow, like I can't believe all that happened. Like, yeah, I think it has the potential to be a little bit more exciting than people might think. That said, I'm going to be here watching games all day tomorrow. I'll be giving my late night reaction just like I did last week. I'm going to try and get this cut up and posted to YouTube as quick as possible. Thanks so much for all the new subscribers I've gotten from this. That first video that I did, it was the most views in a 24-hour period on any video that I've ever made, even just from my normal gaming stuff. Speaking of which, I will be live tonight on Twitch, Lucid Creamin', hanging with the boys. I think the plan is to play some Rainbow Six. And then after that, who knows? I could be doing just about anything tonight. But I will be up late. I will be watching the games too while we're at it. So yeah, super stoked, and I hope I see you guys on Twitch later. But for those of you that come here and watch this content and you're enjoying it, I'm not stopping. I'm really enjoying it. I'm having a great time. Just getting to talk ball. And the comments and interaction I've gotten so far, it's been relatively pedestrian, but like anything is awesome because in the absence of what's been occurring is literally nothing, and there's nothing fun about that. So keep commenting weird stuff. Don't comment at all. I'm gonna keep making the videos, having a good time. Hope you guys enjoy your weekend. Please watch some football, and if you do nothing else, spend some time with your loved ones. And I will catch you guys next time.